Right, first of all, before we get into why the iPhone's gonna disappoint everybody, I know, I look different. Because so many people were commenting about it, I did get myself a nose job. I didn't think it was gonna be a great idea, but honestly, the difference is astounding, so thank you to everyone telling me to get one. So, without further ado, here's why the iPhone 12s is gonna stand for suck. Let's begin. Right, so I would love to be the guy today to tell you, guess what? We got all kinds of exclusive iPhone leaks drop. Next iPhone's gonna fly, it's gonna have wings, it's gonna be solar powered, it's gonna have Apple Pencil support, it's gonna be able to detect what day you'll die, and on top of all of that, the notch might be shrinking a tiny bit. I know, I want to do all those things for you, but the sad fact is, the rumors and leaks for this year's iPhone, in my opinion, are incredibly stale, and they're probably more stale than in years prior. We've been very spoiled for the past, I would say, 4 to 5 years of iPhone rumors. I mean, ditching the headphone jack and all the stereo speakers, IP water resistant, dual camera leaks we got leading up to the iPhone 7 launch. There was a lot of things to get pumped for, and then the iPhone 10 was biggest year-over-year iPhone upgrade of all time. Then the year after that, we had the 10s Max and the 10R, new screen sizes, new form factors we had never seen before. After that, we got the first ultra-wide camera, the first night mode, the huge battery life improvements, removal of 3D touch, and the iPhone 11 got cheaper, and then iPhone 12, I would say, is the biggest iPhone upgrade year since the 10 because we got new form factors, new displays, new chassis design, which we hadn't seen since pre-iPhone 6. We get 5G for those who care about it, the first 5nm A14 chip, and this year we've got, Touch IDs coming back? Probably the biggest headlining feature to look forward to, and current leaks and rumors are suggesting that if Apple does bring back Touch ID, it'll be underneath the display, but the fact is, I've been reporting on a leaked Touch ID underneath the display since 2016, so forgive my skepticism. I doubt it a little bit when we've been hearing the same thing every year for 4 to 5 years, and then it just keeps on not happening. So it's possible it could happen this year, but it certainly feels like the rumor holds less and less value when they say it every single year. Oh, they're gonna bring back Touch ID this year. No, this year. No, this year. Actually, we got it wrong all along. It's this year, for sure this time. We know it. But especially with more people wearing masks and the pandemic and some people not being as big a fan of Face ID, it would certainly make sense to just have both on a single device, but again, not really something too innovative or groundbreaking. Probably not something a lot of people would upgrade their whole iPhone for, and when it comes to camera upgrades, I mean, it sounds like that sensor shift image stabilization on the 12 Pro Max, you know, the one that people were saying you could kind of hardly tell the difference with. Yeah, that's coming to the rest of the lineup, even on the more affordable iPhones, so yes! And also the chance of LiDAR coming to the regular 12s and 12s Mini. Wow, the Measure app is going to be so useful now. You can inaccurately measure like never before. The A15 chip is still going to be based on the 5nm footprint, so there could be some power efficiencies there, and I'm sure some performance gains, but not like leaps and bounds better than the A14 chip. Just, you know, an S year to be expected, and displays across the board should be exact same form factor. So you still got the 5.4 inch, you still got a 6.1 inch, and then the massive 6.7 inch, except the Pros might actually get 120 hertz this year. Finally. Little late on that one, Apple, but we'll appreciate it nonetheless. Hopefully that does not come with a price hike of any kind, and all of the rumors lately have basically not been able to talk about much else other than the notch getting shorter, okay? Not narrower, which is funny how specific the leaks are about this. Like, they want you guys to know the width of the notch is still gonna be real chonk and thick, but it just won't cut in as much. It'll just narrow in a little bit, which once again, similar to the Touch ID reports, we have heard this report ever since the notch was a thing. I remember like day one after the iPhone 10 came out, leaks dropping about, oh, next year's iPhone will have a smaller notch or no notch or a camera hole, and every year they're gonna shave off a little bit more of the notch, and here we are, you know, 4 years later, and it's still, it never happened, you know, the notch is still here, and it's basically the exact same size as it was back in 2017, and I was convinced for the longest time that if Apple was making a compact 5.4 inch iPhone, that there was no way they could keep the notch the same same size if they were making an iPhone this small. And guess what? They freaking found a way to do it. They kept the notch the same size, and they kept it on a display this tiny. So after that, my thought process has been Apple probably thinks there's some kind of iconic look to the notch, and they're not super against it because they know that the tech community might go crazy about it, but average consumers barely notice it. And if you did reduce the notch, or even if you got rid of it entirely, people would get used to it like that. No one would think about it, and it would cost them a whole lot of work and a whole lot of money to actually eliminate it. Because I know there's phones out there that have under display cameras or alternative methods of getting rid of notches in camera holes, but at the end of the day, Apple knows what the average consumer is going to notice and care about. So the idea of Apple going through all this work just so that they can shorten the notch height a little bit, I personally doubt. And January, you know, when we're like 8 to 7 months away from the next iPhone launch, that's typically when the leaks and rumors are the most crazy. And then as the year goes on, the leaks and rumors get more and more realistic and less exciting. And now I feel like they're already kind of stale. So finding out what doesn't make the cut, because January leaks for iPhones are almost always wrong or over-exaggerating certain things. So as we get closer, I feel like this is just going to get even more stale. And frankly, I don't think this is just a 2021 problem. I think this is an overarching problem in the smartphone industry of companies kind of running out of exciting or game-changing things to bring to market. And that's why 2021 sounds like it's going to be the year of the Mac. You know, there's going to be all these things with MacBook development and iMac redesigns and mini LED iPads and that kind of thing. There's plenty of development within Apple and lots to talk about when it comes to the transition to Apple Silicon. But when it comes to the iPhone line, I think that truth about smartphone innovation peaking and companies kind of running out of things to get us excited for, that's finally coming to fruition. So that's why this year with Tailosive Tech, you're probably not going to see as many iPhone leaks as typical years. I was just scrolling through my catalog recently and realized how little we were talking about new iPhones in the month of January compared to the last couple Januaries, and there always seemed to be a lot more to talk about than this year, instead of just like, ooh, the lightning port might be gone, uh-oh, here we go again. But I think this is going to be a new normal for iPhones every year, and that's why Apple is pushing services so hard, and that's why they're trying to get people on the iPhone upgrade program. It's because they know these year-over-year upgrades are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and getting you on the business mindset of just thinking, oh, I'm going to get the latest iPhone every year is better than trying to sell you on, why do I need the newest iPhone every year? It's a job I'm glad I don't have, because Apple's in a tough position right now to find out how do we get people excited for this new stuff. It's probably going to be some new color options, but either way, iPhones sound incredibly stale to me this year. But I'm curious if any of the features we talked about today are convincing you guys that you should upgrade. I mean, for me, 120 hertz is pretty much the main thing. They could leave everything else the same, and I would just get 120 hertz. But how about you guys? Is LiDAR or a slightly thinner notch going to change your mind on the iPhone lineup? Feel free to let me know. This is your Apple Sheep here. We'll see you guys in the next one.